The desert moon cast a pale silvery light across the endless expanse of sand and rock, transforming the landscape into a world of deep shadows and stark highlights. Each grain of sand glimmered faintly, and the ancient stones stood as silent witnesses to the nightly drama that unfolded beneath the stars. Under the vast, star-dusted sky, the air grew cool, a welcome relief from the scorching heat of the day. The temperature dropped rapidly, creating a crispness that signaled the arrival of the desert's most active hours. It was during these precious hours of darkness that the desert truly came alive. Nocturnal creatures adapted to survive the harsh extremes emerged from their burrows and hiding places. The air was filled with the subtle rustle of movement, lizards darting between rocks, insects chirping, and the soft patter of paws and claws on sand. From a narrow crevice between two ancient weathered boulders, a large scorpion scuttled out, its dark exoskeleton almost invisible against the shadowy ground. This formidable arachnid, a master of stealth, relied on its ability to blend seamlessly into the desert floor. Its pincers were held high, like a boxer ready for a fight, and its long, segmented tail, tipped with a venomous stinger, curved menacingly over its back. The scorpion's armor, a tough exoskeleton, protected it from both predators and the abrasive sand. This creature was a master of the night, a silent and deadly predator. Scorpions are ancient survivors, their lineage stretching back over 400 million years. They hunt by sensing vibrations in the ground, using tiny hairs on their legs to detect the faintest movement of prey. Suddenly, a new presence disturbed the quiet rhythm of the desert night. The sand shifted and a subtle vibration rippled through the ground, alerting the scorpion to a potential threat or opportunity. A long dark shape moved with sinuous grace over the sand, its scales shimmering faintly in the moonlight. Each movement was fluid and deliberate, the body undulating in perfect harmony with the terrain. It was a magnificent king cobra, the longest venomous snake in the world, on the prowl for its next meal. Though native to forests and grasslands, this apex predator had ventured into the arid expanse, drawn by the promise of prey. Its forked tongue flickered in and out, tasting the air for any sign of prey. The king cobra's tongue collects scent particles, which are analyzed by the Jacobson's organ in the roof of its mouth, allowing it to track even the most elusive creatures in the dark. As it drew closer to the rocks, it detected the scorpion's scent and slowed its advance, its body coiling with anticipation. The king cobra's senses were finely tuned, able to detect the faintest chemical trails left by other animals. The snake raised the front third of its body off the ground, a classic posture of dominance and threat. This display not only made the cobra appear larger, but also allowed it to strike with greater speed and accuracy. Its iconic hood flared out, a clear warning to any creature that dared to challenge it. The hood, created by elongated ribs, is a universal symbol of danger in the animal kingdom, signaling that the cobra is ready to defend itself. The desert held its breath as these two masters of venom prepared to clash. Both were equipped with potent toxins, but their strategies and defenses were vastly different. The scorpion was not intimidated. Its kind had survived countless encounters with larger predators, relying on resilience and a deadly sting. It stood its ground, raising its pincers wider and arching its tail even higher, the sharp stinger poised and ready to strike. The scorpion's venom, a complex cocktail of neurotoxins, could paralyze or kill small prey in seconds. The cobra, a hunter of other snakes, was accustomed to being the apex predator in its domain, but this small, armored opponent radiated a dangerous confidence. The king cobra's venom is among the most potent in the world, capable of bringing down animals much larger than itself, yet it recognized the risk posed by the scorpion's sting. The snake swayed from side to side, its dark, unblinking eyes fixed on the scorpion, trying to find the perfect moment to lunge. This hypnotic movement was both a threat display and a way to gauge the scorpion's reactions. The tension was palpable, a silent standoff between two of nature's most effective killing machines. Each was armed with a unique arsenal, fangs and venom glands for the cobra, pincers, and a venomous stinger for the scorpion. The cobra saw an opening and lunged forward with incredible speed, its mouth open to deliver a fatal bite. King cobras can strike with lightning-fast precision, injecting enough venom to kill an elephant. The air crackled with the sudden movement, a blur of scaled skin and deadly intent. The cobra's attack was a marvel of evolutionary engineering, muscles coiling and releasing in a split second, but the scorpion was just as quick. Its reflexes, honed by millions of years of predation and survival, allowed it to sense and evade danger in an instant. As the snake's head shot forward, the scorpion deftly sidestepped the attack and jabbed its tail forward in a lightning-fast counterattack. The stinger, loaded with venom, aimed for the softest part of the cobra's body. The stinger whipped through the air, forcing the massive cobra to flinch back just in time to avoid the venomous tip. Even the king cobra, with its thick scales, was not immune to the scorpion's potent weapon. The snake hissed, surprised by the speed and aggression of its would-be meal. Its hood remained flared, body tense, as it reconsidered its approach. It reassessed the situation, its intelligent eyes calculating the risk. King cobras are among the most intelligent of snakes, capable of complex decision-making and even recognizing individual threats. This was no easy kill. The scorpion's armor was thick, and its stinger was a potent weapon. Its exoskeleton could withstand bites and blows that would cripple lesser creatures, and its venom was a formidable deterrent. Deciding that the potential reward was not worth the danger of a venomous sting, the king cobra made a strategic choice. In the wild, survival often depends on knowing when to fight and when to walk away. It slowly lowered its hood, turned and slithered away, disappearing into the vast darkness of the desert, leaving the victorious scorpion to continue its nightly hunt alone. In the moonlit silence, the balance of power in the desert remained, for now, undisturbed, each creature a testament to the wonders of adaptation and survival. Weeks had passed since the king cobra's last encounter, and now, far from the sun-baked sands, it found itself in a realm transformed by life and shadow. The jungle was a living tapestry, every inch pulsed with movement, every breath thick with the scent of growth and decay. The cobra glided through the dense, humid undergrowth, its tongue flickering to taste the air, reading the invisible stories left by other creatures. Here, the ground was a patchwork of tangled roots, fallen leaves, and the secret trails of countless animals. The air vibrated with the ceaseless hum of insects, crickets, cicadas, and beetles, each adding their own note to the wild symphony. Tiny ants marched in endless lines, beetles scurried beneath the leaf litter, and spiders waited in silken traps, all hidden beneath the emerald canopy. Shafts of sunlight struggled to break through the thick canopy, painting the forest floor in shifting mosaics of gold and green. The world above was a fortress of leaves, but below shadows ruled. The cobra's body, long and sinuous, moved with silent precision, weaving through roots and over mossy stones. Its scales brushed against the damp earth, disturbing tiny frogs and sending lizards darting for cover. It hunted with patience, every sense attuned to the faintest tremor. A rodent's heartbeat, the flutter of a bird's wing, the scuttle of a skink. In this green labyrinth, every creature was both hunter and hunted. The king cobra was a master of its domain, gliding with regal confidence, its presence a silent warning to all who crossed its path. But as it slithered over a rotting, moss-covered log, the cobra's world shifted. Beneath its weight, the log gave way, splitting open with a muffled crack. The fractured wood revealed a hidden metropolis, tunnels and chambers carved by tireless jaws, a city alive with movement and purpose. This was the heart of a fire ant colony, a fortress built in darkness, now breached by the serpent's careless passage. In a heartbeat, the jungle floor erupted. Ants poured from the shattered log in a living, writhing wave, red, furious, and unyielding. Hundreds became thousands, a torrent of tiny warriors flooding out, antennae quivering, jaws snapping, each one driven by the scent of alarm. Invisible signals raced through the colony, pheromones that called every ant to arms. The ground itself seemed to pulse with their fury, a single mind guiding countless bodies. The ants surged over the cobra's scales, a living tide of red, their bodies glinting in the dappled light. They bit and clung, forming a carpet of relentless aggression. The cobra recoiled, startled by the sudden stinging assault, its tongue flicked in confusion, tasting the chemical rage of the swarm. At first, only a few pinpricks registered, but soon the pain multiplied, 1,000 fiery stings igniting its flesh. Each ant anchored itself with powerful jaws, then arched its body to inject venom, a burning chemical that seared through the snake's nerves. The cobra thrashed and writhed, its powerful muscles rippling beneath the onslaught, but the ants held fast, their grip unbreakable. For every ant flung away, 100 more swarmed in, relentless and tireless, their numbers overwhelming. The ground seemed to move, a living sea of red bodies, each ant a single drop in a flood of fury. The cobra's strength, so formidable against other predators, meant nothing here. Its coils, built to crush, could not stem the tide of tiny attackers. Pain and confusion clouded its senses. The jungle's chorus faded beneath the roar of agony, every nerve alight with fire. The mighty king cobra, feared by all, was now at the mercy of creatures 1,000,000 times smaller, their unity more powerful than any venom. It rolled and twisted, scattering leaves and insects, but the ants clung on, their attack perfectly coordinated, their fury unending. The cobra struck blindly, but there was no single foe to defeat. The enemy was everywhere, a burning tide that could not be escaped. This was the power of the collective, each ant insignificant alone, but together, an unstoppable force, their unity forged in the crucible of survival. In the heart of the jungle, the king cobra learned a brutal truth. Here, even the smallest creatures, united in purpose, could topple the mightiest predator. In this world of endless struggle, survival belonged not to the strongest, but to those who could harness the fury of the swarm. Having survived its ordeal with the fire ants, though weakened and bearing the marks of their attack, the king cobra pressed on, its scales dulled and body moving with a cautious, deliberate grace. Each movement was a testament to its resilience, the forest floor whispering beneath its battered form. The snake eventually entered a cooler, temperate forest, where the dense canopy soared into a cathedral of towering trees. Sunlight filtered through the leaves in golden shafts, dappling the mossy ground and illuminating the intricate web of life that thrived in the undergrowth. The air was crisp, filled with the scent of damp earth and the distant calls of unseen birds. One afternoon, as the cobra glided silently through a patch of sunlit ferns, its tongue flicking to taste the air, it stumbled upon a scene of domestic tranquility. The forest here was alive with the gentle hum of insects, the flutter of butterflies, and the distant rustle of small creatures moving through the leaf litter. Nestled near a hollow log, a mother civet, a small, mongoose-like mammal with a sleek, elongated body and a tail as bushy as a plume, rested with her young cubs. Her fur was a tapestry of subtle browns and greys, blending perfectly with the forest shadows. The cubs, still clumsy with youth, tumbled and played in the soft leaf litter, their tiny paws batting at each other and their high-pitched chirps echoing through the trees. Their playfulness was a stark contrast to the ever-present dangers of the wild, a brief moment of innocence in a world ruled by instinct. The mother civet, though appearing relaxed, was a model of vigilance. Her ears twitched at every sound, her nose quivered as she sampled the scents carried by the breeze. Every so often she would pause, her body tensing, eyes narrowing as she scanned the undergrowth for any sign of threat. Her senses were finely tuned, honed by countless generations of survival in these woods. The king cobra, hidden among the ferns, observed the scene with cold calculation. The The cubs, so small and vulnerable, represented an easy meal, a rare opportunity for a predator weakened by recent trials. Slowly, the cobra raised its head, its body tensing in anticipation. Muscles rippled beneath its scales as it prepared to strike, the forest momentarily holding its breath. But the mother civet's vigilance paid off. In an instant she detected the subtle movement in the ferns, the faintest shift in the air, and her eyes locked onto the serpent's form. Her transformation was immediate. The gentle, nurturing mother became a fierce guardian, her body language shifting from relaxed to aggressive. Her fur bristled, and her tail lashed the ground in warning. She positioned herself directly between the cobra and her cubs, lowering her body to the ground, every muscle coiled and ready to spring. Her stance was both a shield and a challenge, a living barrier that dared the predator to come closer. With a series of sharp, guttural hisses, she made herself appear larger, her fur standing on end. The sound cut through the forest, a warning to all who might threaten her family. Her eyes, dark and unblinking, never left the cobra's head. She tracked its every movement, reading the subtle shifts in its posture, anticipating its next move with uncanny precision. She was immovable, a determined force of nature, blocking the path to her offspring with unwavering resolve. The king cobra, unaccustomed to such bold defiance, hesitated. Its tongue flicked in and out, tasting the tension in the air as it tried to assess this unexpected challenge. In response, the cobra spread its hood wide, revealing the striking pattern on its back. It let out a deep, resonant hiss, a sound that reverberated through the undergrowth, meant to intimidate and warn. The snake began to sway, its body moving in a hypnotic rhythm, attempting to mesmerize the civet and create an opening for attack. But the civet was undeterred. She was no ordinary prey. Her kind was renowned throughout the forest for their speed, intelligence, and unyielding courage in the face of venomous adversaries. These mammals possess lightning-fast reflexes, their bodies built for sudden bursts of speed and agility. Their reputation for fearlessness was well earned, and the mother civet embodied this spirit completely. She moved with relentless energy, darting around the cobra, her movements unpredictable and swift. Each step was calculated, keeping her just out of reach, her body a blur against the forest floor. Her defensive fury was palpable, a force of nature driven by maternal instinct. Every muscle, every hair on her body was focused on one purpose, the protection of her young. The cobra, enraged by this defiance, lunged forward, its fangs bared, and aimed at the civet's small, agile form. But the civet was ready. With a burst of speed, she dodged the strike, her body twisting in mid-air to avoid the deadly fangs. In the same fluid motion, she lunged forward, her sharp teeth finding purchase on the snake's neck. The attack was swift and precise, a testament to her skill as both hunter and protector. She bit down hard, then released and leapt back, always staying just beyond the cobra's reach, her eyes never leaving her adversary. The snake recoiled in pain, its body writhing, but the civet pressed her advantage. She attacked again and again, each time striking with blinding speed and retreating before the cobra could counter. Her strategy was relentless, attrition through a flurry of quick, damaging attacks. The cobra, already weakened, was no match for her determination and agility. Mortally wounded and overwhelmed, the king cobra finally collapsed onto the forest floor, its reign as a predator ended by the courage of a mother defending her young. The victorious mother civet gathered her cubs, her body still tense, but her eyes now softening with relief. She led them away through the dappled light, deeper into the safety of the forest, leaving behind the silent testament of her bravery. All around, the forest resumed its rhythm. Birds called, insects buzzed, and the cycle of life continued, untouched by the presence of humankind. The king cobra's journey through the wild had become a tapestry of hard-won lessons, each encounter revealing the astonishing variety of defenses woven into the animal kingdom. The forest, a living labyrinth of shadows and secrets, was both a proving ground and a sanctuary for creatures great and small. As dusk crept across the land, the cobra found itself at the threshold of a dense, ancient forest. The trees stood like silent sentinels, their canopies weaving a tapestry of darkness overhead, while the undergrowth whispered with the promise of hidden life. The air cooled, thick with the scent of moss and earth. Daytime melodies faded, replaced by the haunting hoots of owls and the furtive rustling of unseen animals. The forest was alive with the subtle symphony of nocturnal creatures, each one playing its part in the intricate web of survival. The king cobra glided through the tangled underbrush, its tongue flicking, tasting the air for the faintest trace of prey. Every movement was deliberate, every muscle coiled with predatory intent. The scent trail led to a moonlit clearing, where a porcupine, nature's armored sentinel, busied itself gnawing on the bark of a fallen tree. The porcupine's presence was unhurried, its small eyes glinting with quiet vigilance as it foraged beneath the watchful gaze of the stars. This quill-covered guardian was a marvel of natural engineering. Its body, cloaked in a formidable array of needle-sharp quills, was a living fortress. Though it appeared absorbed in its meal, every sense was attuned to the subtle shifts in the forest's rhythm. The cobra, driven by hunger and the relentless urge to hunt, watched the porcupine with cold calculation. To the snake, the slow-moving rodent seemed an easy target, an opportunity to satisfy its gnawing hunger. With predatory grace, the cobra advanced, its scales whispering over the leaf litter. Each movement was a study in patience and precision, the snake's body blending seamlessly with the dappled shadows. Drawing near, the cobra reared up, its hood flaring wide in a display of power. In the moonlight, it became a living emblem of danger, poised to strike with lethal speed. Yet the porcupine did not flee. It faced the cobra with a calm born of confidence, its quills already bristling in silent warning. The rodent paused, turning its armored back toward the threat, every muscle tensed and ready. In an instant, the porcupine's quills stood on end, transforming it from a humble forager into a bristling barricade. Each quill shimmered in the dim light, 1,000 tiny spears poised to defend their owner. The quills rattled softly, a sound that echoed through the clearing, a warning as ancient as the forest itself. It was a message to all would-be predators. Approach at your peril. The cobra swayed, its tongue flicking, eyes fixed on the strange, spiny adversary. It weighed its options, instinct warring with caution. Never before had it faced a creature so well defended, so passively invulnerable. The porcupine's armor was not aggression, but deterrence, an unspoken pact with the wild. The cobra searched for weakness, but the porcupine's back and flanks were a seamless wall of spines, each one a potential wound waiting to happen. Every quill was a masterpiece of defense, barbed, sharp, and ready to embed itself in any attacker. The forest had shaped this guardian into a creature few dared challenge. Still, the cobra's hunger was a powerful force. It circled, muscles tensing, determined to test the limits of the porcupine's defenses. With calculated caution, it probed the air, seeking any sign of vulnerability, any gap in the living armor before it. In a flash, the cobra lunged, not a full strike, but a swift, probing attack aimed at the porcupine's exposed head. But the move was a costly error, a misjudgment born of desperation. The porcupine spun with astonishing speed, a blur of bristling quills and instinctive defense. Instead of retreating, it lashed out with its muscular, quill-laden tail, a living mace forged by evolution. The attack was swift and merciless. Several long, barbed quills broke free, driving deep into the cobra's flesh, anchoring themselves in its head and neck. The cobra recoiled, writhing in agony, its body contorting as it tried to shake free the embedded spines. The quills, each one barbed and cruel, worked deeper with every movement, inflicting pain that radiated through the snake's body, a punishment for its reckless hunger. The forest echoed with the cobra's hiss of frustration and pain, a sound that spoke of defeat and the harsh wisdom of the wild. The porcupine stood resolute, quills still raised, a silent guardian of its own peace. There would be no second attack. The cobra, wounded and chastened, retreated into the shrouded depths of the forest, its lesson learned in blood and pain. In the quiet that followed, the porcupine lowered its quills and returned to its meal, the forest's quill-covered guardian once again at peace beneath the ancient trees. Section 5. The Stinger Strikes Back, a Second Showdown. After its harrowing encounter with the porcupine, the king cobra was forced to withdraw, its pride wounded and its body aching. The dry terrain offered little comfort as the snake slithered away, each movement a reminder of its vulnerability. Quills embedded deep within its scales throbbed with pain, and the cobra spent days in seclusion, its body working tirelessly to heal. The wounds, raw and inflamed, were a constant torment, slowing the serpent's every motion. Eventually, the weakened snake resumed its journey, gliding over sun-baked rocks and through sparse, brittle grass. The landscape was harsh and unforgiving, a vast expanse of stone and sand where only the most resilient survived. As dusk descended, the desert transformed. Shadows stretched long and thin, and the air cooled, carrying the scent of dust and stone. In this haunting twilight, the king cobra found itself once again in the presence of a familiar foe. Perched atop a flat, sun-warmed rock, a formidable scorpion stood ready. Its exoskeleton glistened in the fading light, pincers open in anticipation, tail arched high, a living emblem of the desert's silent power. The scene mirrored their first encounter, but the air was charged with a new tension. Both creatures remembered the outcome of their previous battle, and both were changed by it. This time, the king cobra was driven not only by hunger, but by desperation. Its body, still aching from old wounds, moved with a restless energy, every muscle taut with anticipation. The failures of the past had left the snake irritable and reckless. Its eyes, sharp and unblinking, fixed on the scorpion with a predator's focus, but also with a hint of wild frustration. The scorpion, meanwhile, remained motionless, its body pressed low against the rock. It sensed the cobra's agitation, reading every subtle shift in the serpent's posture, every flicker of its tongue. The king cobra reared up, spreading its hood wide. This display, usually a calculated warning, was now a raw expression of anger and defiance. The snake's body trembled with the effort, its wounds stretching painfully. Abandoning its usual patience, the cobra lunged forward in a blur of motion. There was no hesitation, no careful circling, only a single desperate strike aimed at overwhelming its adversary. The hood flared again, but this time it was a fleeting gesture, lost in the momentum of the attack. The cobra's body coiled and uncoiled with explosive speed, its head darting forward, jaws open wide, fangs glinting in the last rays of sunlight. Determined not to be denied, the snake pressed its attack, intent on reclaiming its place atop the desert's food chain. The scorpion, a master of defense, responded with instinctive precision. Its pincers snapped open and its tail flexed, ready to strike at the perfect moment. Unfazed by the cobra's aggression, the scorpion stood its ground, every sense attuned to the predator's movements. As the cobra's head shot forward, the scorpion darted sideways with astonishing agility, its small body slipping just out of reach of the deadly fangs. In a seamless motion, the scorpion pivoted, positioning itself for a counterattack. Its tail, loaded with venom, hovered above its back, ready to unleash its lethal payload. As the cobra's momentum carried it past, the scorpion's tail whipped upward in a powerful arc, the stinger glinting with deadly intent. The stinger, sharp and precise, was aimed directly at the vulnerable flesh just behind the cobra's eye, a perfect target for a fatal blow. With a swift, practiced motion, the stinger found its mark, piercing the snake's tough scales with ease. Venom surged through the cobra's body, injected deep into its flesh. The neurotoxin began its work instantly, attacking the snake's nervous system. The cobra recoiled violently, hissing and thrashing, its body racked with pain and confusion. It shook its head, desperate to dislodge the pain, but the venom's effects were swift and merciless. The cobra's movements grew sluggish, its body swaying unsteadily as paralysis set in. The venom coursed through its veins, shutting down muscle control with terrifying speed. The mighty serpent, once the undisputed ruler of this harsh land, now struggled to move, its body betraying it with every passing second. It writhed and twisted, its elegant form reduced to clumsy, desperate spasms. The cobra's hood collapsed, its body going limp as the last of its strength faded away. Within minutes the king cobra lay still upon the stone, its reign ended not by a larger predator, but by a creature of cunning and precision, perfectly adapted to the unforgiving desert. Victorious, the scorpion paused only briefly, before disappearing into the encroaching twilight, leaving the silent stones as the only witnesses to the epic struggle. Nature's drama, played out in the heart of the wild, untouched by human eyes. The great cycle of life and death continued elsewhere, in a different part of the world, under the relentless African sun. The air shimmered with heat, and the vast savanna stretched endlessly, dotted with acacia trees, and the distant calls of wild birds echoing across the plains. By the muddy banks of a wide, slow-moving river, a massive Nile crocodile lay half-submerged, only her eyes and nostrils visible above the water's surface. The river itself was a lifeline, its brown currents winding through the landscape, carrying secrets and stories of survival. She was a living relic, a prehistoric giant perfectly adapted to her aquatic home. Her armored scales glistened in the sunlight, each ridge a testament to countless generations of survivors. But today she was not just a predator waiting for prey. She was a mother guarding her most precious treasure. Her senses were heightened, every muscle tensed, her gaze unwavering as she watched over her nest. Hidden in a nest of sand and vegetation on the riverbank was her clutch of newly hatched babies. The nest, carefully constructed and fiercely defended, was a cradle of new life, its fragile occupants relying entirely on their mother's vigilance. One adventurous hatchling had waddled a little too far from the safety of the nest, its tiny chirps echoing in the hot, still air. The little reptile's scales gleamed, and its eyes darted nervously, every movement betraying its innocence and vulnerability. This small, vulnerable sound did not go unnoticed. The chirps, high-pitched and desperate, carried across the riverbank, a beacon to any nearby predator. A pack of African hunting dogs, their coats a beautiful mosaic of black, yellow, and white, trotted out of the nearby savanna. Their ears pricked forward, noses twitching as they caught the scent of opportunity. They were lean, efficient pack hunters, renowned for their incredible stamina and teamwork. Each step was measured, their bodies moving in perfect synchrony, eyes scanning for the slightest sign of weakness. They spotted the lone baby crocodile and saw an easy snack. The pack's energy shifted, muscles tensing, tails held high in anticipation. The lead dog lowered its head and began to stalk forward, its packmates fanning out behind it, ready to move in for the kill. Their paws barely made a sound on the soft earth, eyes locked on their tiny target. The tiny crocodile, sensing the danger, froze, its instinct screaming for it to run, but it was too small and too exposed. Its body pressed low to the ground, heart pounding, it became a statue of fear. Its fate seemed sealed as the pack closed in, their hungry eyes fixed on their tiny target. The dog's lips curled back, revealing sharp teeth, their bodies coiled like springs ready to strike. Just as the lead dog was about to pounce, the river erupted. Water exploded into the air, droplets sparkling in the sunlight, as a massive force surged from beneath the surface. The mother crocodile launched herself from the water with terrifying speed and power, her immense body clearing the riverbank in a single explosive movement. Her tail whipped behind her, sending a spray of mud and water in all directions. She landed with a heavy thud, creating a wall of reptilian fury between the dogs and her baby. Her massive form blocked the sun, casting a shadow over the trembling hatchling. She opened her cavernous mouth, revealing a terrifying arsenal of thick, conical teeth, and let out a deep, guttural roar that vibrated through the ground. The sound was ancient, primal, a warning that echoed across the riverbank. The hunting dogs, masters of the chase, were stopped dead in their tracks, startled by the sudden and violent appearance of the river titan. Their bodies stiffened, hackles raised as they assessed this new and formidable threat. They had expected an easy meal, not a confrontation with one of Africa's most powerful predators. The air was thick with tension, the only sounds the low growl of the crocodile and the nervous panting of the dogs. The pack, though momentarily stunned, was not ready to give up. They regrouped, circling warily, their eyes darting between the mother and her vulnerable offspring. They were intelligent hunters and began to circle, looking for an opening, trying to distract the mother so one of them could snatch the baby. Their movements were coordinated, each dog playing its part in the silent, deadly dance. But the mother crocodile was an experienced defender. Her eyes flicked from one dog to the next, reading their intentions, her body coiled and ready to strike at a moment's notice. She pivoted on her powerful legs, keeping her massive head and deadly jaws facing the ever-shifting pack. Her tail dragged behind her, leaving deep furrows in the sand, a warning to any who dared approach. When a few dogs grew bold and tried to approach from the side, she unleashed another of her powerful weapons. Her eyes narrowed and her body tensed, every muscle primed for action. With a mighty heave, she swept her long, muscular tail across the ground. The movement was swift and brutal, a blur of raw power. The force of the blow sent dirt and rocks flying, and the dogs leaped back to avoid the bone-shattering impact. The ground trembled, and a cloud of dust rose, momentarily obscuring the scene. Realizing they were outmatched, the pack finally abandoned their hunt and trotted back into the savannah, their bodies low and tails tucked. The mother, victorious, gently nudged her baby back to the safety of the nest, her massive head lowering to comfort the trembling hatchling. The riverbank, once a battleground, returned to a tense calm, the fierce devotion of a mother echoing in the stillness of the wild. Far from the bustle of civilization, on a sun-baked Indonesian island where the wind whispers through brittle grasses and the air shimmers with heat, a silent drama was about to unfold. Here, the wild reigns supreme, and every creature is both hunter and hunted. Through the golden haze, a Komodo dragon, the island's living relic, emerged. Its massive, muscular body moved with a deliberate, almost primeval grace, each step sending small clouds of dust swirling around its clawed feet. This was no ordinary lizard. At nearly 10 feet long, its thick, armored hide bore the scars of countless battles. Its jaws, lined with jagged, serrated teeth, glistened with toxic saliva, a deadly cocktail for any creature unlucky enough to be bitten. The dragon's forked tongue flickered in and out, sampling the scents carried on the wind. Every movement was calculated, every sense attuned to the possibility of prey, be it a scurrying rodent or a lumbering water buffalo. With a slow, swaggering gait, the Komodo dragon exuded an air of dominance. It was the undisputed monarch of this rugged domain, a predator whose very presence sent smaller animals fleeing for cover. Each heavy step echoed the ancient lineage of its kind, a living fossil whose ancestors once roamed alongside giants. As the dragon prowled near a cluster of sun-bleached rocks, its keen eyes caught movement, a porcupine intent on digging for roots, oblivious to the looming danger. This was a different species from the one the king cobra had faced, but its arsenal was no less impressive. The porcupine's body bristled with long, needle-sharp quills, each one a warning to would-be attackers. The ground trembled beneath the dragon's weight, and the porcupine froze, its tiny paws suspended mid-dig. Instinctively, it sensed the approach of a formidable predator. In a heartbeat, the porcupine spun around, presenting its back, a living shield of spines, toward the threat. Muscles tensed, every quill stood on end, transforming the small mammal into a fortress of spikes. The message was unmistakable. a universal language of survival. Come no closer, or suffer the consequences. The Komodo dragon halted, its tongue flicking as it weighed its options. Even for a creature that feared nothing, this bristling adversary was a puzzle. Cautious curiosity flickered in the dragon's ancient eyes. It had felled deer and buffalo, but never had it faced such a spiny, determined opponent. The dragon's mind replayed past hunts, charging prey, overpowering with brute force. But this was a new challenge, one that required patience and cunning. Slowly, the Komodo dragon began to circle, its yellow tongue flicking, searching for a weakness in the living armor before it. The porcupine remained motionless, every muscle coiled, its back a wall of quills aimed squarely at the dragon. It was a standoff, neither willing to make the first reckless move. The Komodo dragon, unwilling to give up so easily, decided to test the defenses of its prickly foe. With a sudden burst of power, it swung its thick, muscular tail in a low, sweeping arc, aiming to unbalance the porcupine or perhaps expose a vulnerable spot. The tail struck the earth with a thunderous slap, sending dust and pebbles flying, but the porcupine stood its ground, undeterred. In a flash, the porcupine responded. Its body tensed and it readied itself for the next move in this primal chess match. Rather than retreat, the porcupine seized the moment, using the dragon's proximity to launch a bold counterattack. With a sudden, explosive lunge, it thrust its quills backward, aiming for the dragon's sensitive snout, a move honed by generations of survival in the wild. The Komodo dragon recoiled instantly, a guttural hiss escaping its jaws as it narrowly avoided a face full of spines. The lesson was clear and immediate. The dragon's instincts screamed caution. A single misstep could mean a muzzle full of quills, painful, debilitating, and potentially fatal if infection set in. With a final wary glance, the Komodo dragon conceded defeat. It turned and lumbered away, its massive tail dragging through the dust, leaving the spiny guardian victorious and free to return to its quiet foraging among the rocks. In this wild, untamed land, survival belongs to the clever, the cautious, and the well-defended. Deep within the heart of the wild, where the rules of survival are written in instinct and opportunity, the most unexpected battles unfold. Here, the line between predator and prey blurs, and every creature must rely on its wits and weapons to survive. In a secluded forest clearing, shrouded in a gentle mist as dusk crept in, the air was thick with anticipation. The fading sunlight filtered through the dense canopy, casting long, shifting shadows across the damp earth. A small snake, slender and sinuous, glided silently through the dew-soaked grass. Each movement was deliberate, its tongue flicking in and out, tasting the air for the faintest trace of prey. Its scales shimmered with moisture, reflecting the last golden rays of the day. Driven by hunger, the snake moved with purpose, weaving between tufts of grass and fallen leaves, its senses attuned to the subtle vibrations of frogs or lizards hiding nearby. Every rustle was a potential meal, every shadow a possible threat. As it slipped beneath the low-hanging branches of an ancient tree, the snake was oblivious to the silent drama unfolding above. The forest was alive with the soft chorus of insects and the distant calls of birds settling in for the night. Perched motionless on a thick branch, a large spider surveyed the world below. Its 8 eyes, glistening like tiny black beads, tracked the snake's every move with predatory focus. The spider's body was robust, its legs poised and ready, each hair sensitive to the slightest tremor in the air. This was no timid web spinner. It was a hunting spider, a bold and formidable predator that relied on speed and strength rather than silk traps. Its fangs, curved and gleaming, were capable of delivering a potent venom, enough to subdue creatures far larger than itself. As the snake glided directly beneath the branch, the spider tensed, its body lowering in anticipation. The moment was electric. 2 hunters, paths crossing by chance, each unaware of the other's full capabilities. Without warning, the spider sprang into action. It didn't wait for the snake to pass. Instead, it launched itself from the branch in a daring aerial assault, legs splayed wide, fangs bared. A single silken thread trailed behind as the spider descended rapidly, using gravity and precision to close the distance in an instant. The forest air seemed to hold its breath as predator became prey and prey became predator. The spider's goal was clear: to land a swift, venomous bite and immobilize the snake before it could react. Its fangs gleamed in the dim light, poised to strike at the vulnerable flesh. But the snake, attuned to the slightest changes in its environment, sensed the sudden movement above. In a split second, it registered the dark shape plummeting from the misty air. With lightning-fast reflexes, the snake jerked to the side, narrowly avoiding the spider's deadly fangs. The spider landed heavily on the ground, its attack thwarted, but its resolve undiminished. Now, the element of surprise lost, the two adversaries faced each other in a tense standoff. The air crackled with the energy of their confrontation, each sizing up the other, neither willing to back down. The snake coiled its body tightly, head raised, and eyes fixed on the spider. Its muscles rippled beneath its scales, ready to strike at the slightest provocation. A low, menacing hiss escaped the snake's mouth, a clear warning that it was not to be underestimated. Its tongue flicked rapidly, reading the spider's every move. The spider responded in kind, raising its front legs high and baring its fangs in a dramatic threat display. Its body rocked forward, making itself appear larger and more intimidating. For a long, breathless moment, the two creatures held their ground in the deepening twilight. Neither moved, each waiting for the other to make the first mistake. It was a silent battle of nerves, a test of patience and resolve. Suddenly the spider lunged, its legs a blur as it tried to sink its fangs into the snake's body. But the snake twisted away with astonishing speed, its body undulating in a blur of motion. In retaliation, the snake lashed out with its tail, striking the spider and sending it tumbling through the leaf litter. The impact was enough to momentarily disorient the arachnid, but not enough to end the fight. The clearing erupted into chaos as the two animals battled, each feint, strike, and dodge a testament to their evolutionary arms race. Venom met agility, and instinct clashed with instinct. The struggle was brief but fierce, a whirlwind of movement and intent. The forest around them seemed to fade away, leaving only the primal contest at its center. The spider, undeterred by its setback, scuttled forward with astonishing speed, seeking another opening to deliver its venomous bite. Its legs moved in perfect coordination, each step calculated and precise. The snake countered, striking out with its head, jaws snapping at the spider's armored body. The spider's tough exoskeleton absorbed the blow, but the threat was real and immediate. After several frantic exchanges, both animals paused, each realizing that victory would not come easily. The snake's speed and defensive tactics matched the spider's aggression and venom. Sensing that the snake was too formidable to overcome, the spider made a calculated decision. It turned and began to retreat, climbing swiftly up its silken lifeline toward the safety of the branches above. Higher and higher it climbed, vanishing into the tangled web of branches and leaves, its silhouette soon lost in the gathering darkness. The snake, victorious in its defense, uncoiled and slipped away into the undergrowth. Its body melted into the shadows, leaving the clearing silent once more, save for the distant sounds of the wild, a reminder that in nature every encounter is a story of survival, written without witnesses. The stories of these epic showdowns, from the desert sands to the dense jungle floor, reveal a profound and fundamental truth about the natural world. In the wild, there are no written laws, no judges, and no referees, yet every creature abides by a set of unwritten rules, shaped by millions of years of evolution and necessity. Each encounter, whether it is the king cobra facing the scorpion's stinger, or the mother crocodile defending her young, is governed by these invisible laws. The wild is not a place where the strongest always win, nor where the largest always dominate. Instead, it is a realm where survival depends on a complex web of interactions, instincts, and adaptations. The king cobra, a symbol of power and fear, was defeated not once but twice by the much smaller scorpion. This is a reminder that in nature, size and strength are only part of the equation. The scorpion's venom, delivered with precision and speed, is a perfect example of how specialized adaptations can level the playing field. Even the mighty cobra was brought to its knees by an army of tiny fire ants, whose collective power overwhelmed its defenses. The porcupine, with its passive armor of quills, rendered the cobra's lethal bite useless. The civet, driven by a fierce maternal instinct, became a formidable opponent, proving that the will to protect one's young can be as powerful as any weapon. These battles highlight that every animal, no matter how small or seemingly docile, possesses its own unique set of tools for survival. The porcupine's quills, the scorpion's venomous tail, the fire ant's collective might, and the civet's agility are all perfect adaptations for the challenges they face. Each adaptation is a response to the pressures of the environment, a solution honed by countless generations. The Komodo dragon, an apex predator, demonstrated intelligence and restraint, recognizing that the risk of attacking a porcupine far outweighed the potential reward. The African hunting dogs, renowned for their teamwork and hunting prowess, were no match for the raw, protective fury of a mother crocodile. In these moments, the unwritten rules of the wild are clear: know your limits, choose your battles, and respect the defenses of others. Nature is a complex tapestry of checks and balances, where every creature plays a role and has a means to defend its life. The outcome of these conflicts is never predetermined. A fight is not just a contest of physical attributes, but also a battle of wits, timing, and sometimes sheer luck. The spider that attacked a snake demonstrated a boldness that defies our expectations, proving that in nature, audacity can be a weapon in itself. These encounters remind us that the wild is unpredictable and full of surprises. The line between predator and prey can blur in an instant, and victory often goes to the one who is better prepared, more adaptable, or simply more determined to survive another day. The wild is a stage where every day is a test, and every creature is both a participant and a survivor. The rules are simple yet profound. Adapt or perish, defend or fall, hunt or be hunted. There is no room for complacency, and every advantage, no matter how small, can mean the difference between life and death. From the venomous bite to the protective spine, from the fierce maternal bond to the strategic retreat, each animal has its own incredible story of endurance. Nature's arena is a place of constant challenge, where every day is a test, and every creature is a testament to the remarkable power of evolution to find a way to live, to fight, and to endure against all odds. Ultimately, the lesson from these epic showdowns is one of respect for the intricate and often brutal beauty of the natural world. Survival is the ultimate prize, and the means to achieve it are as varied and wonderful as life itself. In the wild, every animal is both a challenger and a champion, bound by the unwritten rules that govern the eternal struggle for life. It is a world where everyone is a survivor, and where the drama of existence unfolds in countless ways every single day. As dusk settles over the forest floor, a new confrontation emerges beneath the thick canopy, a battle shrouded in silence and shadows. Here in the cool, humid night, a king cobra glides with practiced stealth, its tongue flickering as it searches for unsuspecting prey. Unbeknownst to the serpent, another predator is on the move: the Asian forest centipede, a creature rarely seen but universally feared by those who share its domain. The centipede, armored in a segmented exoskeleton and armed with venomous fangs, navigates the leaf litter with a fluid, almost mechanical grace. Its antennae twitch, sensing the faint vibrations of the cobra's movement nearby. Both hunters are masters of ambush, relying on patience and precision rather than brute force. Suddenly their paths cross beneath a fallen log. The cobra, sensing the unfamiliar movement, lifts its head, spreading its iconic hood in a silent warning. The centipede freezes, its many legs poised for a rapid retreat or a lightning-fast strike. For a moment the two predators assess each other, neither willing to yield, both acutely aware of the danger the other poses. The cobra strikes first, lunging with calculated speed, but the centipede is ready, twisting its body and latching onto the cobra's scales with its powerful jaws. Venom flows, quick and efficient, but the cobra's resilience is legendary. It thrashes, coiling around the centipede in a desperate attempt to break free. The struggle is intense, a clash of venom and muscle, armor and fangs, each champion wielding its own lethal arsenal. In this nocturnal standoff, victory does not come easily. The centipede's venom is potent, capable of subduing prey many times its size, yet the cobra's endurance and defensive tactics prove formidable. The battle ends not with a clear victor, but with both creatures disengaging, wounded but alive, each retreating into the darkness, wary of the other's power. This silent duel is a testament to the diversity of nature's weaponry. It highlights how, in the wild, survival is often determined not by size, but by strategy, adaptability, and the willingness to risk everything for a meal. In the night, where sight yields to scent and sound, even the most feared must tread carefully. The king cobra and the centipede depart, each bearing the scars of their encounter. Their paths may cross again, or they may forever avoid one another in the endless game of survival. In the wild, every night brings new challenges, and every shadow may conceal a rival. Here, the silent hunters remind us that power comes in many forms, and that the balance of the wild is maintained through countless unseen battles beneath the stars. As the moon climbs higher, silvery light spills across a tranquil riverbank, transforming the world into a realm of reflected stars and shifting shadows. Here, where the dense forest gives way to the water's edge, another drama is about to unfold, a confrontation as ancient as the river itself. A fishing cat, sleek and muscular, emerges from the reeds. Its paws are silent on the soft mud, whiskers twitching in anticipation. This elusive feline is a master of the wetlands, adapted for both land and water. With keen eyes, it scans the surface, watching for the telltale ripple of movement. Suddenly, a shape glides just beneath the surface, a large, wary snakehead fish, notorious for its aggression and cunning. The fish pauses in the shallows, its wide mouth just breaking the surface to gulp air. For a brief moment, predator and prey are locked in a silent duel of wits, each aware of the other's presence. The fishing cat crouches low, muscles tensed. In an instant, it strikes, claws flashing, plunging into the water with a precision born of countless hunts. The snakehead thrashes, unleashing a burst of power, sending water spraying into the moonlit air. The struggle is fierce but brief. The cat's grip is unyielding, its claws curved perfectly to hold its slippery prize. But the river is never without its own guardians. From the shadows, a massive water monitor lizard slides silently onto the scene, its forked tongue flicking as it assesses the commotion. Drawn by the scent of blood and the promise of an easy meal, the monitor advances, eyes fixed on the cat and its catch. The fishing cat, undaunted, arches its back and lets out a low growl, fur bristling with warning. The monitor lizard hesitates, weighing its options. For a tense moment, predator faces predator, each measuring the other's resolve. The cat, unwilling to relinquish its hard-won prize, backs slowly into the reeds, fish clamped tightly in its jaws. The monitor lizard, deciding discretion is the better part of valor, turns away, slipping back into the shadows to await another opportunity. The riverbank falls silent once more, the only evidence of the encounter, a few scattered scales and ripples fading beneath the moonlight. In this wild borderland between forest and water, every creature must earn its survival. Tonight, the fishing cat prevails, its victory a fleeting moment in the endless cycle of life and competition. Here, at the water's edge, the story of the wild continues, written in paw prints, ripples, and the silent tension of nature's nightly encounters. As dawn approaches and the world softens from silver to gold, the wild unveils its most remarkable secret. Survival is not just a contest of strength, but a showcase of ingenious strategies. Across ecosystems, creatures have evolved astonishing adaptations, each one a testament to nature's relentless creativity. In the dense undergrowth, a leaf-tailed gecko clings motionless to a mossy branch. Its jagged outline and mottled skin render it nearly invisible, a living shadow. Predators pass within inches, none the wiser to the gecko's presence. This is camouflage at its finest, a strategy that transforms vulnerability into invisibility. Nearby, a colony of army ants forges across the forest floor. Their strength lies not in individual prowess, but in unity. Each ant coordinates with thousands of others, forming living bridges and rafts, overwhelming prey with sheer numbers. Their collective intelligence is a force that shapes the very landscape. In the open grasslands, a cheetah crouches low, its slender form blending into the swaying savanna. Every muscle is tuned for a single explosive burst of speed. Unlike other predators, the cheetah gambles everything on a short chase, using acceleration and agility to outmaneuver its quarry. If it fails, it must rest and recover, a high-risk, high-reward tactic honed by evolution. High above, a harpy eagle glides between the treetops. Its talons, larger than a grizzly bear's claws, are designed to grasp and hold struggling prey. But brute force is paired with patience. The eagle waits motionless for hours, striking only when the moment is perfect. Beneath the forest floor, a trapdoor spider awaits. Its silken lair is a masterpiece of engineering, an ambush pit hidden beneath leaves and twigs. Sensitive to the slightest vibration, the spider launches upward in a flash, snaring unsuspecting insects with precision. From mimicry and camouflage to teamwork and specialized weaponry, the wild is a gallery of survival strategies. Each creature an artist painting its own path through the perils of existence. There are no rules, only adaptations. In this eternal contest, it is not always the strongest who endure, but the most adaptable. As the sun rises, the forest stirs with life, every animal revealing a unique answer to the question of survival. Here, innovation is the language of life, and for every challenge, nature finds a way. As sunlight filters through the ancient canopy, a new reality settles over the wild, a reality shaped not by tooth and claw, but by forces beyond the creature's control. The forest, once a sanctuary, now whispers with signs of strain. A prolonged drought tightens its grip, turning streams into ribbons of cracked earth. Thirsty herds of antelope gather at shrinking waterholes, their uneasy truce broken by scarcity. Predators, too, grow bolder, their hunting grounds contracting as prey becomes scarce. High above, the harpy eagle circles, its sharp gaze scanning a thinning treetop realm. Many branches stand bare, stripped by storms that now come more fiercely, more often. The eagle's nest, once sheltered by a fortress of leaves, is exposed to the harsh elements, forcing it to defend its young against both weather and opportunistic rivals. In the undergrowth, the leaf-tailed gecko faces a different trial. Rising temperatures and erratic rainfall have altered the mosses and lichens it once relied upon for camouflage. The patterns that once rendered it invisible now stand out against a shifting backdrop, making each day a dangerous game of hide-and-seek. Army ants march onward, but their trails are fractured by fallen trees and landslides, the aftermath of relentless storms. The colony's unity is tested as they navigate new hazards, adapting their living bridges to span wider gaps and their rafts to cross unfamiliar waters, determined to keep their swarm intact. Beneath the earth, the trapdoor spider senses vibrations that are no longer prey, but the rumble of soil collapsing as roots wither and ground dries. Its silken lair, so carefully constructed, must be rebuilt again and again, a tireless battle against an ever-changing world. Even the cheetah, master of speed, finds the open grassland transformed. Fires, sparked by lightning and fed by the parched earth, sweep across its hunting grounds, leaving behind scorched plains and the acrid scent of ash. Each chase is riskier, each meal harder won. In this world of shifting shadows and unpredictable trials, every creature must not only outwit its rivals, but also the very environment it calls home. The greatest challenge is not a single predator or competitor, but the relentless, unpredictable pulse of the wild itself. Here, survival is a question with no easy answer, and adaptation is not just a gift, but a necessity. In the tangled undergrowth, where shadows coil and the air is thick with the scent of earth, a rare and precarious meeting unfolds. The king cobra, master of the forest floor, glides with ghostly grace, its tongue tasting the world for the faintest trace of prey. But tonight the hunter's path crosses with a rival, one just as deadly though much smaller in stature. A giant forest scorpion, armored in obsidian black, moves with deliberate caution beneath the leaf litter. Its pincers flex, testing the air, while its curved tail hovers above, poised to strike. Both creatures are guided by senses honed for survival, each carrying a venom potent enough to end the other's life. They pause. The cobra's hood flares, casting a shadow that flickers across the scorpion's glossy carapace. For a heartbeat, time holds its breath. The scorpion, unfazed, raises its stinger in silent challenge, its every movement a calculated risk. The king cobra, reading the signals, weighs its options: attack, retreat, or attempt to intimidate. The standoff is electric. A single misstep could turn the hunter into the hunted. The cobra lunges, lightning fast, but the scorpion pivots, its stinger arcing forward with equal precision. Fangs meet exoskeleton, venomous tail meets scaled flesh. For a moment the world narrows to this point of contact. Two masters of chemical warfare, locked in a contest where even the victor may pay a price. In the aftermath, both retreat, battered but alive. The scorpion disappears beneath a rotting log, its armor bearing the faintest mark. The cobra, wary and wiser, glides away into the undergrowth, its hunger unsatisfied, its senses sharper than before. Here, in the silent theater of the wild, every encounter is a lesson written in instinct and survival. Venom versus venom, an ancient rivalry played out in miniature, echoing the relentless struggle that binds all creatures of the forest. From the forest floor to the windswept savanna, the wild is a living gallery of innovation, each creature sculpted by countless generations of adaptation. Here, a chameleon's skin shimmers, shifting colors with subtle precision, not just for camouflage, but as a language of mood and intention. Its eyes move independently, scanning for danger and opportunity in every direction, a mastery of perception unmatched in the animal kingdom. Nearby, the pangolin's armor, overlapping keratin scales, forms an impenetrable shield. When threatened, it curls into a perfect ball, presenting nothing but a fortress to would-be predators. This passive defense, honed over millennia, is as effective as it is elegant. Deep in the rainforest, the glass frog clings to a leaf, its translucent skin revealing a delicate lattice of organs and bone. This transparency is more than a marvel. It is a cloak, rendering the frog nearly invisible to both predator and prey in the dappled light. On the open plains, the cheetah's slender frame is built for speed, its spine acting as a spring, its non-retractable claws gripping the earth for explosive acceleration. Every heartbeat, every breath is synchronized for the chase, a single-minded pursuit of survival. Beneath the waves, the mimic octopus glides across the sand, limbs undulating in ever-changing patterns. With a thought, it transforms, becoming a lionfish, a flatfish, even a sea snake, each disguise a calculated deception, an evolutionary advantage in a world where the line between hunter and hunted is ever blurred. Nature's ingenuity knows no bounds. From the leaf-mimicking katydid to the electric eel's shocking defense, evolution writes its blueprints in the language of necessity. Each adaptation, each trait, is a testament to the relentless creativity of life itself, where survival is the ultimate masterpiece and every creature is a living work of art.